This is State Representative Jeffrey Elmore with your weekly session update for June 24th. Very busy in the General Assembly, as I say each week. A lot of moving pieces right now. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Senate budget and what's going on with that, how that transitions into the House and how that process works. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about bills that moved through both chambers to the governor, and also some House bills that were moved this week. So let me get into it real quick. We'll talk about the Senate budget. They're voting on it as we speak. They presented the document earlier this week, and they are voting today and tomorrow to finish the document out. Now, once the document became public, on the House side, we started analyzing it, starting to look at it, starting to see what is in it, and we will be creating our own version. This is just the next step in the process. We received the governor's budget, then the Senate had it first, and they have worked on this for a total of 13 weeks, which is a very, very, very long time to work on a budget. So we've been sitting and waiting and doing a lot of pre-work ourselves, knowing that it was coming. So we will finally officially get it in our hands the beginning of next week, and then we produce our version. So we will look at some stuff that's in the Senate budget, but you will see another budget document that comes from the House, and that's the next step of the process. But we're anticipating that may take 4 to 5 weeks. We're a little bit ahead because we did a lot of the pre-work, so hopefully it won't be too long. So even though it's a theoretical document at this point, just like the governor's budget, I still want to show you the size of the thing. This is what's called the money report, and then this is the provisions. And one reason why this was big, it was very interesting what the Senate did. With the American Rescue monies, this is the money that came down from the federal government. The original plan with the governor's office and also with the Senate was to do those separately. And what they did with their budget is they combined those funds with the state funds to create one massive document that has all of the state funds and also all of the federal funds all in one place, which might not be a bad strategy because it will ensure that we do not double spend in areas, but it makes it to where there's a lot of information to go through. So the state portion of this proposal has a $25.7 billion budget for the state. And then on top of that, you're looking at $4.9 billion in American recovery money that is in it also. So I'm looking at a document that is almost $30 billion in various spends. So some highlights, some things that they were very focused on was they created a job grants program to help folks that were affected with COVID. They also, of the American Rescue money is what they're using for this. Also targeted small businesses with that. Broadband expansion and water and sewer project funding were big highlights from the American Recovery. Now with the state monies that were involved, they targeted different ways of pay, but one specific is dealing with correctional officers, trying to get their pay in line to where it needs to be because we are not competitive at all, and we're having a lot of difficulty filling those positions. So lots of different information from roads to money with Veterans Home. One thing that was interesting, I did not see the Speedway money in it, so that will be a thing that we will have to deal with on the House side. I know that's some things that folks are looking at specifically, and there's various projects all over the state. So again, this is just a time and place in the process as we move forward. So that's an update on the Senate budget. Now, some bills that have been flowing and where they're at, I'll give you an update. Was disappointed last Friday, the governor vetoed Senate Bill 43. This was the bill that would allow concealed carry in churches where there were schools. The problem is if there's an educational property, meaning a church that has a school on site, someone that has concealed carry cannot take their gun on the property because it's considered an educational property. What this would do is clarify the situation. So while school is not in session and the church service is going on, that would allow the person to carry concealed during that time. This really helps with some of the churches developing security teams and things of that nature. The governor vetoed that bill, and he did it later last Friday. So we went into the week with already a vetoed bill, and he signed, let's see, we sent 4 this week, and he signed 1 bill into law. So he's vetoed 1, and he's signed 1. Now, some things that we have moved around in the House this week, something that's been a bigger issue. We stripped a bill, Senate Bill 173, because the content of it was not valid anymore, and we changed it into what's called Free the Smiles Act. And what this does, this deals with the children wearing masks this fall. What we would do in the bill is allow the local boards of education to decide what the mask policy should be for the next school year, and they have to make that decision by August 1. So it takes it from a statewide level to a localized decision on that. And there's been a lot of parents that are very concerned about that both ways. So I think that gives some clarification, and it would help in the situation with COVID, and we are kind of behind the impact of COVID, moving out of it, that at the local level they can make the decision on the children having to wear a mask in the school environment, which is very hard, especially for small children, because they don't understand quite what's behind this and the purpose. Another thing that we clarified this week, we just voted today to settle a conference report on Senate Bill 116, and we called this Putting North Carolina Back to Work. There were 2 different visions on how we try to deal with the labor market issues, and we came to a compromise with the Senate. They took our position on eliminating the $300 additional federal benefits per week that is supposed to expire in September. What this would do is expire it immediately so that additional payment is not on the unemployment check. It also, if this is put into law, it goes ahead and filters down $250 million in child care subsidies that we were given from the feds to deal with this issue of workforce. So it would activate that. And then there was some language that dealt with requiring those on unemployment to respond to job interview offers. So this was sent to the governor, this conference report, and it ended up being a party line vote from the House. So it was 65-45. So we'll see what the governor does with this bill. Another bill that affects our area was the Farm Act, and we passed that today out of the House and sent it back to the Senate because we did make a change. We took 1 section out. But some things that affect our area is that it increases the punishment and penalties for timber larceny. Basically, when someone is timbering property, that they don't go over the property line and steal someone else's timber. It also waives the requirement for trials for minor state forest offenses. We were having some problems, people having to go to court just because they were playing in the creek. So it clarifies that. And it also empowers the Forest Service to be able to enforce the law if someone is stealing timber. Those provisions in the bill really affect our area more than the other provisions. There were some things dealing with hog farms and digesters. A couple of other things we passed. We passed a bill, House Bill 642, that prohibits organ transplant discrimination on the basis of Down syndrome or disability. This is very sad. On the organ transplant list, they would put, if you had a disability, they would bump you down the list because they considered you not healthy. So this clarifies that. And also we passed the Wildlife Resource Bill, the agency bill, HB 181, and it clarifies some hunting and fishing laws. We have to do this annually, and I know we have a lot of hunters in the area, so some of these policies will be changing. Something exciting in that is it deals with the fee structure for lifetime license for older folks. If you're interested in going into a lifetime license, which in the long run, that's a better deal than paying annually, If you're above a certain age, it becomes 50% off. That was a clarification there. So to reduce some cost, especially for our older hunters. So lots of action, and